We are now going to our next session, Session 2, to hear resiliency updates from our local Southwest and South Florida water management districts. I would like to introduce and welcome up Carolina Maran and Mary Margaret Hall. Carolina, Director of Flood Control and Water Supply Planning, as well as the Chief of District Resiliency at the South Florida Water Management District. She holds a PhD in Civil and Environmental Engineering and Water Resources from Colorado State University and a master's degree in Water Resources Engineering from Maran Federal University in Brazil. Mary Margaret Hall is the lead project manager of the Southwest Florida Water Management District Resource Management Division. She holds a BA in Environmental Studies from Rollins College and a master's degree in Public and Local Government from the University of South Florida. As with the last session, Menti will be open throughout the entire session for you to enter any questions that come to mind throughout it. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Maran to begin.
Morning. I can go there. Yep. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to see this room full of people and also sharing our program at South Florida Water Management District. An honor to be here. Thank you very much. So I'm going to present some updates from resiliency, from our resiliency program in the agency. We did hear a few of references already in the morning. Thank you, Tiffany, and thank you, Brian, for some of the projects that we have been advancing. It's great to hear some of the progress as well in other fronts by those key project partners. So just a visual of our role as a water management district in really for the environment, for the communities. So the work that we do in really looking at water levels overall, that we can sustain essential functions from the environment perspective, as well as ensuring flood protection to the communities and water supply. So a very delicate balance. In South Florida specifically, we have a very complex system, several control structures that we 24/7 to ensure that those levels are at the right level, right? And following schedules, predetermined schedules, so we can achieve all those competing goals that we have as an agency. Of course, when we start thinking about evolving conditions and some of those potential impacts to the water balance in general, is when we have to really be carefully and looking at that to ensure that we can continue to provide those functions now and into the future. Organizing and tracking traditional changing conditions from planning efforts throughout those centuries are really focusing on land development. Here we have a photo of Naples area in the 1940s before those drainage projects were advanced, and today, 2022, so significant land development that, of course, alters the patterns of flows and water levels in the whole area. The construction of the project itself, the establishment of those draining through those years, and increase in population. We also see other conditions changing, and here I don't think I even need to talk about sea level rise after this incredible panel this morning, but just aspect that was mentioned in Brian's presentation very specifically. Our coastal structures, they are gravity-driven. They discharge to the ocean based on the difference between ocean level and inland freshwater level. So during one of the king tide events, the tide overtopping the top of the gate, that was built at first place to hold the salt water towards the ocean side. And on the left is one of the latest results from Brian's work, really looking at the percentage of the hours that the tailwater is close to headwater. We use a threshold of 0.1 feet here. So really, when we have those conditions that the tailwater is close to headwater is when we need to close our gates, meaning we cannot provide during the period of time the protection that we need to provide, right? And so we are seeing an increase in those number of hours that those elevations are very close. And we have plots now for several coastal structures throughout our east and west coast, and this one specifically is Faca Union here near this area in the west coast. So we do have a plan. This is good news. We are looking at all those vulnerabilities, and I'm going to talk a little bit on how we use that and the data that we with the plan, meaning we have prioritized some projects that we are identifying, that we have identified to really begin to address those vulnerabilities. We have published our 5th Sea Level Rise and Flood Resiliency Plan under the umbrella of the statewide Resilient Florida program. And we have a series of projects that we are, as I said, advancing as part of this effort, really with the goal to ensure that water management infrastructure and water resources in general can effectively alleviate flooding risks while we increase community, economy, and ecosystem resiliency in South Florida. The map on the right does show some of the projects that we have here in the West Coast. We have a tower that enhances communication so we can operate facilities better. We have also one of the structures, Henderson Bell Mead, that we are looking at how we can harden this specific structure. And we have a project that is a self-preservation mode, also facilitating us to operate those structures and disconnect from power when we need and turn it back on after we have the surge. So just a few examples of the projects that we have in the plan, and I can more than happy to provide further details. As part of this planning, we hosted a workshop in Bonita Springs. We got really great participation from stakeholders in the Southwest Coast to really get early input from the plan. We received further comments. We incorporated them in this publication, and really appreciate the participation and years from key stakeholders that really help us shape the plan and the recommendations that we have in the document. So how we get to those projects, we do have a program. It's our Flood Protection Level of Service program. We have been assessing basin by basin those flood vulnerabilities. So we run the infrastructure that we have, the drainage infrastructure that we have. We run scenarios with current conditions and with future conditions, accounting for sea level rise, accounting for increased rainfall. We map those vulnerabilities and we identify the infrastructure strategies that we need to continue to provide our mission in those areas. So basin-wide assessment, really robust modeling efforts using the latest and greatest tools to properly assess flood risks in those areas and really inform the best recommendations in terms of infrastructure investments to reduce flood risks in those communities. The effort, a lot of technical products, and whenever we have the chance to look and share this information with local governments, we do. All those tools and all those assessments that we do on a regional scale can be really useful as we step into more localized assessments. So all the models that we develop are fully available through a portal that is our statewide management model system. So no need to really start models from zero. The lessons learned, the more we find, the more everybody knows age investments is expensive, cost-wise, time-wise. So we want to make sure that we build and we leverage existing tools. So everything is available here. This is being integrated to a new portal that the Florida Flood Hub will be launching soon. So again, making sure that all available data and models are readily available for communities to use as they need to evolve and continue to assess those conditions. Data itself that we use for the assessments is also available. From and even products that we use to develop this input data is there. When we talk about flood resiliency projects, a lot of those agencies require us to do cost-benefit analysis, and we have also tools that can help on the flood damage assessment side. So really helping on this calculation of cost and benefits. This was developed for South Florida. We have both the tool that can help, and it's free. And we also have the exposure database, meaning the properties that can be impacted by the flood, again, integrated to the latest critical assets that are developed. So really, again, measuring those flood risks and helping to perform what is the benefits associated with each project. And we also sit in the steering committees supporting local vulnerability assessments. depending on the capacity that we have, but usually when we receive an invitation, we do assign a staff member to go and participate and share products and facilitate this conversation. So in our implementation path, we truly depend on securing state and federal funding. We have some of the grants avenues that we have been working very closely to advance. Those priority Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Very closely, we do have been submitting projects every year, receiving some funding to advance some of the key projects. And we also work very closely with the Florida Department of Emergency Management through pre- and post-disaster funding under the FEMA award. We have also been able to begin advancing some of those projects with funding from pre- and post-disaster. I did mention the Resilient Florida program in a few slides. I'm sure there will be further presentations and details here, but just on a glance, this slide was a courtesy from Eddie Boza, the director of the program. So really, the grant program itself, the statewide flooding and sea level rise resiliency plan that we integrate our South Florida plan to. They also develop a comprehensive statewide data set and assessment with all critical assets to regional resiliency entities, and we do have the Florida Flood Hub for Applied Science. I know they'll be doing a presentation next, but this is a lot of the efforts that have been advanced in the state since the approval from Senate Bill 1954 in 2021. We work very closely with EP and the Florida Flood Hub. We do contribute and sit in some of the working groups, scientific and technical work groups that are being led by the Florida Flood Hub. So on the rainfall work group, we have estimates for the depth, duration, and frequency of extreme rainfall events using available downscaling climate models products, and also looking at how can we improve long-term projections and reduce uncertainty. Today, the numbers that we have are still very uncertain on assessing rainfall. Especially when we think about sea level rise, I think we saw like in 30 years, it's almost a consensus on the 1 feet. From earlier presentations today, on the rainfall, there is still more noise. So we are also comprehensive modeling, a statewide coupled ocean atmospheric climate model that can help us reduce this uncertainty. Again, they will be presenting later today. And we are also collaborating with them through flood modeling efforts funded with Silver Jackets funding to support collection of flood observations in general and guidance on flood models. Of course, we focus a lot on flood. This has been the avenue that we have funding and priorities from the state and the federal government, but we also are stepping into water supply within a bit approach. This is what we have published for about 3 years now. So it's a modeling effort. Similarly to our flood protection level of service program, we are stepping into using latest and greatest models. In this case, is the East Coast surficial model. We're going to start on the East Coast, really looking on a 50-year horizon again, looking at how sea level rise intermediate curves will be impacting some of the water sources, supply sources, and really characterizing those potential future impacts. Right now, we are developing the model. We have it calibrated. It took us a few years to get this advanced regional groundwater model calibrated. We have a technical peer review panel on October 6th to give us the green light to start running the scenarios. We did develop some input data, so drought scenarios on extreme dry rainfall scenarios, each side with sea level rise projections. We also are working on future land use and future population distribution per utility service area, which is also essential when we are dealing with this water supply vulnerability assessments. We do have several tools that we're going to be also utilizing to be able to really advance projects in case vulnerabilities are identified through this project. We have water supply planning efforts that occur every 5 years, and we have been really looking closely with natural systems, local comprehensive plans, water use regulation, and through this alternative water supply program, also funded through DEP to implement water supply sources, new water supply sources to to the regions. So again, we're just going to utilize those tools to be able to that we identify. My final portion of the presentation is now the data that feeds all of that. So we have a program in place, our water and climate resiliency metrics. We really focus on those data. We look a lot of the data that we monitor ourselves as an agency. The Water Management District does have quite a large, comprehensive data set. So beginning with our own data and also correlating with some existing data from other agencies, we look at what are observed trends from, of course, focusing on water management. So, but rainfall regional, what we are observing in terms of rainfall and trends. There will be a presentation later today, tomorrow as part of this conference, this afternoon. Evaporation, water, oceans and sea level rise, as presented by Brian today. He did a significant assessment on this area for us. We have salinity, groundwater levels. So a series of data that we are closely monitoring to help us understand those evolving conditions and to really help us assess the risks and inform scenario formulation as we step into the need to map those future conditions. As I said, this is just here. I can definitely say this is an old slide at this point. This is what was estimated back with data up to 2020. The newest and latest data will be shared in this next presentation from Dr. Allah from our team. But in this case, we did see and observe rainfall increasing trend here in the East Caloosahatchee region. And there is several data and products that you can, new data will also be available as soon as it's published. The publication will come in 2026. Saltwater intrusion, we also access very closely. We have data here. There was several data already shared and presentations, but we are monitoring the saltwater front. We also have data in the portal there in terms of where we are seeing potential inland movement of this saltwater front. And all the data is available in this link. If the presentation is published, all of the slides that I'm sharing here have. We also invest heavily on documenting floods, and we have a portal, a data repository that you can access flood observations. But more important, we have this data collection tool that helps us document those events. This is critical for us. We really need to understand where this flooding is happening, so we can properly document, we can properly calibrate models, we can properly even justify projects that we have been prioritizing as part of our infrastructure investments. Types of data, I think Brian did an awesome job presenting this enhanced tide projections today. This is something that we have been doing for 3 years now. And we launched it on September 1st, the 2025 king tide season and the forecast. So we have weekly bulletins that we talk about, that we present the forecast for that specific week during the entire king tide season. And we are just showing the risks, and we use the NOAA thresholds to help us understand if any of those conditions are predicting to be near or below or above any of those minor or moderate or even higher flood risks. We truly do this work in collaboration with a series of partners in many levels, from the federal government, as I mentioned today, from the state, working very closely with the counties on water control districts and municipal projects. Army Corps, they did build the system and are helping us to understand those vulnerabilities and potential compacts and other partners. We do one piece of this. We deal with the water management piece, with draining water away, with reducing flood risks from the communities, with ensuring water supply. But from this perspective of really integrating inland and coastal flood mitigation strategies, there is much more that is done by local governments, and we need to continue to work in collaboration and very closely with them so we can really align and propose the best solutions. We meet every quarter. Here's our last meeting in 2020, and no more information. Thank you.
Well, good morning. I'm Margaret, and I'm honored to be here today with so many resiliency experts and to be presenting alongside with Dr. Carolina Maran. I've been with the Southwest Florida Water Management District for about 17 years now. I started in communication office for about 6 years, and most recently, I'm now in our Government and Community Affairs office as our new resilience coordinator. And today I'll be sharing how our water management district builds resilience across 4 key areas. There are areas of responsibility, which are water supply, water quality, natural systems, and flood protection. I've never worked one of these, so okay, this is a little bit different. Okay, so in 1961 by a special act of the Florida legislature, and this was after Hurricane Donna caused devastating flooding in Southwest Florida in 1960. We are a science-based organization responsible for managing and protecting water resources in West Central Florida. We cover all or parts of 16 counties, stretching north to Levy County, south to Charlotte County, where we split management of the water resources between the South Florida Water Management District and then our district, Southwest. And then to the east, counties. We split our approximate 10,000 square miles into 4 planning regions, as each geographic area has its own challenges. There are 97 local governments within our jurisdiction, and we serve about 6 million full-time residents. Our district grows by 157 new residents each day. That's like adding a small town each week. That means more demand on water, flood risk. So I'm just curious here with a show of hands, who has lived in Florida for more than 5 years? Okay, and keep your hands raised if you've been here more than 20 years. Oh, okay, impressive. You guys have seen a lot of change around here. Thank you. So moving over to our mission, it is to protect water, reduce flood risks, and ensure a reliable water supply for all. We have 4 main areas of responsibility, although Carolina, you did really well. I didn't really hear very many acronyms coming out of your mouth. So with water supply, we ensure there's enough water for both people and the natural systems. With water quality, we are charged with protecting and improving water to sustain the economy, the environment, and quality of life. We aim to preserve, protect, and restore natural systems. We're also relied upon to minimize flood damage to protect people, property, infrastructure, and the regulatory side, we issue water use, well construction, and environmental resource permits, or ERPs, making sure projects meet the rules to protect resources. Resilience runs through every part of our mission. So sometimes folks call us swift mud, and yes, we consider that endearing. South Florida is soft mud. We'll have to see how Carolina feels about that. I'm not sure. Okay. Let's take a look at NASA's climate dashboard, which shows us the urgency of the challenge. We heard from Jennifer earlier that 2024 was the world's warmest year since 1850, which is remarkable. So this is a roadmap for why resilience planning matters. At the district, we're taking that global science and applying it here at home. By building better watershed models, forecasting floods before storms, and investing in infrastructure that can withstand. For Southwest Florida, these aren't future threats. We're already seeing stronger storms, shifting rainfall, hotter summers, and rising seas. That's why our district is building resilience into our core functions, including planning, permitting, restoration, and operations. Those global trends, hotter days, rising seas, heavier rains, all show up in very local ways. The most pressing challenges is how we secure reliable water supply in the face of both growth and climate stress. Perhaps you remember a storm event in the last 5 years that felt different, perhaps stronger or wetter, more storm surge, bigger impacts on yourselves and your neighbors. And as you heard from Carolina, we're having to perform a lot of analyses, impacts we may see from storm surge, flooding, and changing rainfall, which means water demand is growing. We are employing different strategies to ensure adequate water supplies are available. Every 5 years, we also develop a new regional water supply plan. All of the water management districts do, all 5 of us. And we do that by each of our 4 planning regions, which you saw earlier. The public comment just closed for the 2025 regional water supply plan, and the comments are currently being addressed. Our district governing board will vote in December, and the draft plan is available for viewing currently on our website. Through our Cooperative Funding Initiative, or CFI program, we co-fund the development of alternative water supplies, or AWS, with our regional entities and other cooperators. One example of an AWS project in this area is our partnership with the Peace River, Minnesota Regional Water Supply Authority to construct a 3rd off-stream reservoir at the Peace River Treatment Facility in DeSoto County. 3 billion-gallon reservoir will capture and store excess flows from the Peace River during the rainy season, which will increase reliability of the region's water supply. We are also co-funding extensions of transmission lines to serve West Charlotte County and also to northern Sarasota County. Our district has been recognized by the Water Resource Association for its leadership in promoting beneficial reuse through strong partnerships, robust funding, and active participation in water reuse research and policy. If you're going to irrigate, it just makes sense not to use potable water. We do a lot. I'm just going to mention one of our programs today, but if you've heard of Florida Water Star, please raise your hand. Okay, there's some room for growth there. Thank you. So Florida Water Star is a voluntary water conservation program for builders and developers. It's supported across the entire state. Our water management district, there are 2 counties, Hardee and Polk County, and 15 municipalities requiring all new residential and commercial construction to meet Florida Water Star standards. And there's both indoor and outdoor water conservation requirements. And what we've documented is that the average homeowner can save about $530 a year on utility bills, and also not 480, but water each year, just by, having these efficient water clothes washing machines inside the home, and then having a water efficient irrigation and landscape outside the home. So any local governments here that want to hear more about that, please let's talk later. So these measures help reduce pressure on fresh water and strengthen drought resilience. This work ensures every new family moving in still has clean, reliable water. Moving on to water quality. Thank you, gentlemen, and Mrs. over there in the corner. Appreciate that. Foundation of our health and economy. Our district monitors water quality because it provides the data necessary to predict and adapt to future challenges. We've been maintaining many different types of monitoring networks for decades, and they fall into 3 main categories: groundwater, surface water, and atmospheric, mostly rainfall in that category. And these data help us better understand the changes we are seeing with sea level rise and flooding. Stormwater quality by naturally filtering pollutants through soil and vegetation, while also promoting resilience by reducing flood risk through absorption and slowing runoff. All the water management districts and DEP are working on implementing the new statewide stormwater rule. So many of you may have heard about that. Another key area is seagrass monitoring, and that is helping us build resilience in Southwest Florida by providing early signs of environmental stress, guiding effective restoration efforts, and informing policy decisions to pursue. This last link directs you to our Springs Protection webpage and provides access to real-time water quality data on the 5 first magnitude springs in West Central Florida. Moving over to natural systems, we know that healthy ecosystems equal resilient communities. Our district has a whole team of staff establishing, monitoring, and reevaluating, or MFLs, of rivers, lakes, wetlands, and aquifers. By defining the minimum water levels and flows needed to prevent significant harm to a natural system, the program provides a critical safety net that ensures the long-term sustainability and adaptive capacity of the region's water resources. Land management and acquisitions are central to our resilience, protecting and restoring natural water systems to minimize flooding, safeguarding a sustainable water supply. There's an excellent local example of a restoration project that acts as a natural defense against the impacts of rising sea levels and more intense storms. The Lemon Bay Wildflower Preserve Project is a habitat restoration project led by the Lemon Bay Conservancy with co-funding from NOAA and our district. The project converted an 80-acre abandoned golf course in Inglewood back into a thriving coast. So who here has visited Lemon Bay Preserve? Okay, I mapped it. It's about 40 minutes from here. I haven't been there. I know it was impacted from the storms last fall, but it is a great example of resilience you can actually walk through. So land acquisitions and restoration don't just protect habitats, they absorb floodwaters and buffer communities. So moving over to flood protection, which is frontline resilience. Watershed to evaluate water resources, identify issues like flood risk, and determine a watershed's capacity to meet water needs. The district develops these plans with local governments by characterizing a watershed's features, assessing its conditions, and then creating a plan with recommendations mainly focused on flood protection. As we update watershed management plans, we may incorporate new analyses of sea level rise projections and changing rainfall. So has anyone here worked with real-time flow on that? Okay, a few of you. This is where very cool stuff. It predicts flooding days in advance using rainfall, surge forecasts, and water level data. We're currently piloting this in our Flint Creek watershed, which is located in Hillsborough County. We also plan to use it in the Hillsborough River watershed and the Tampa Bypass Canal. We have plans to use it in the Upper Peace River County on a project. Our district operates 84 water control structures. I'm curious to know how many there are in South Florida. I haven't looked into that number yet. But so we have a total of 84 water control structures, and 17 of those are designed for flood control. And the other 67 are water control structures, which are used to conserve or hold water back in a lake during dry times. We have structures that we're working to make more resilient to sea level rise, and we're currently conducting a level of service analysis to 17 flood control structures for vulnerabilities under sea level rise, rainfall changes, and compound flooding scenarios. Caroline had a slide on, it sounds like a similar exercise they're doing in their district. And we do love the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and the Resiliency grant program that they offer. So encourage any of the local governments here to check that out if you haven't already done so. We see grants from DEP to repair concrete and provide cathodic protection, which protects metal from corrosion. And the second grant we just recently got informed about is to do some improvements to a gate and lift system. And both of these resiliency projects will provide protection from salt water at structure S160, which is on the Tampa Bypass Canal. And the Tampa Bypass Canal is a regional flood control system and Temple Terrace from Hillsborough River flooding during high rain events. It was actually a project that was put in during the 60s by the Army Corps of Engineers in response to that Hurricane Donna that I mentioned earlier that happened in 1960. In addition, the district protects floodplains through its ERP program by ensuring the new developments do not increase flood levels or rates of stormwater runoff. From watershed planning to construction, resiliency is built into what we do. We collect a wide range of data collection, from groundwater and stream flows to aerial imagery and water. This science is the backbone of resilience planning. Without it, we'd be guessing. We focus on good data, which enables good decision making, ultimately helping us achieve our mission, our areas of responsibility, and to better serve our communities and stakeholders. Please visit our website and you'll find lots of data there. And then finally, being a resilient district. We're building resilience through planning, land acquisition, restoration, and ongoing operations and maintenance. We're translating data into tools and action, building resilience from the ground up. Our approach is integrated, connecting science, infrastructure, and partnerships. And this is my last slide. Resiliency agency, it's a partnership. You've heard this from several speakers already. I'm sure it'll be a common theme that we hear. Welcome your collaboration as we continue building a resilient future. For providing a QR code to our latest annual strategic plan, which was approved by our governing board in February of this year. It's a great document. It's really an excellent overview of our board's priorities in each of our 4 planning regions. And please reach out to me with questions, or I'd love to hear about your resiliency project. I've been on the job now, I think maybe 6 weeks, so I have a lot to learn from each of you, and I would love to talk with you and meet you personally. So I want to thank you for organizing this important summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to dive right into Minty. We have time for a couple questions. So those of you who haven't already, feel free to enter any in now. And I would ask our presenters, if you see a question that's popping out at you that you just want to go ahead and answer, just restate the question and answer it. You as well to help us answer as many as we can.
Yeah, that'd be great. I can't really read it, but can you make it bigger?
I can read one for you. I'll read for me first, and then I'll read the next one for you. I'm going to get to pick all of them. This is fun. Okay, implementation path. For advancing projects, how do you define and prioritize aims? So, very important question. As part of our resiliency plan, we built a ranking system. We have been seeking to align the ranking system, prioritize projects as part of the Resilient Florida program. So we assign a percentage, similar categories that the state assigns, and we also align that with our capital improvement program, because from a perspective of like engineering assessments and the needs, also including just O&M operations and maintenance needs, we have to make sure that we are addressing all the infrastructures. Robust ranking system in the plan there that helps us prioritize those projects. And of course, coordination with local governments, with our internal teams to ensure that we are aligning priorities. I'm going to read one for you. So, which counties will the 9.3 billion gallon DeSoto Reservoir serve within the Southwest Florida water management region?
Okay, that's a great question. And that's a partnership that we have with the Regional Water Supply Authority down here, that counties. Honestly, I'm not exactly sure. I know that with the pipeline extension, transmission lines extensions, the water will be going to northern Sarasota County and also western Charlotte County. But it's something that I'm sure you can find on the Peace River, Minnesota Regional Water Supply Authority website. I was just asking ChatGPT, but the question came to me before I could find the answer. So thank you for that question.
I think we can both answer this question. So instead of looking at alternative water sources, is there an interest in looking into reducing water consumption and slowing development? So We do have a very robust water conservation program as well. It's actually consider alternative water sources. We embed conservation as part of an alternative water supply source because we just, I mean, it's a reduction in the need, future needs. So there is extensive coordination efforts with and local utilities to reduce water use on a per capita basis. For instance, we have launched a very strong program on limiting the days that each resident can irrigate their yard. So we have now this as part of a requirement for the alternative water supply source funding that becomes available through the EP. So basically, the county municipality has to adopt this rule to be eligible for funding, meaning that they are achieving the goals of also limiting irrigation on a limitation per week, irrigation for each days of the week. So again, several initiatives that we can also be addressing.
Yeah, exactly. Those are all really good points. You know, water restrictions save water. Sometimes folks turn on an outdoor automatic irrigation system and just let it ride 12 months of the year and just waters, 2 days a week. And some folks, rain shut-off devices are required by state law. Sometimes people put them under an eave so they can't do their job. Rain sensor, so it doesn't shut off the irrigation system when it doesn't need the water. So definitely following the water restrictions, getting familiar, if you have an in-ground automatic irrigation system, getting familiar with your irrigation controller. Lots of different things that we can do as an individual for water conservation in your own landscape and your own business. We do fund water conservation projects. The Southwest Florida Water Management District does through that cooperative funding initiative program that I mentioned earlier. We fund toilet rebate governments. We fund various sensible sprinkling projects, work with golf courses to help them convert from using potable water to reclaimed water. Makes a lot of sense. 18 holes, it's a lot of green you're covering there, irrigating a couple times a week. And also the Florida Water Star program. It's something that's available across the state. All of the water management districts have support for local governments that are interested in adopting a code or ordinance requiring, again, it's all new residential, all new, follow those water conservation parameters. And besides the CFI program, which is more of a higher level dollar amount for bigger communities, we have something called WISE, and it's a water conservation program where we offer, I think it's $15,000 for community groups, homeowners associations. It could be any sort of an interest group that wants to implement some sort of an indoor, outdoor water conservation measure at their location. So those are just a couple ways of water conservation.
Wonderful. And I wish we had more time because we do have more questions, but I encourage you all to find our presenters on our lunch break coming up to ask your question in person. And I just want to thank them for those excellent presentations. We are now going to break approximately for an hour and a half, but we do give you that generous time frame asking that you be back before 1 p.m. when we